Automatic compliance sounds like something that all marketers would like to have on the part of their customers. And you actually have part of the book titled Automatic Compliance Triggers. Oh, what are those triggers and how can marketers pull them?
Sure. So, one of my favorite ones is simply the word because, which I'm sure that you and maybe some of your listeners are familiar with. But Ellen Langer at Harvard ran that study where people lined up to use a photocopier and, said, hey, can I cut in front of you? 60% said yes. She repeats the study, but this time they say, hey, can I cut in front of you because I'm in a hurry and I've got some copies to make? Here, 94% say yes, quite a high lift over the 60, which was the baseline. As you hear that, you think, well, they said they were in a hurry. She repeats the study, but this time the person says, hey, can I cut in front of you because I have some copies to make? Then 94 drops to statistically insignificant, right? Same high lift over the 60. And when you stop and think about it, well, everybody standing in that line was standing in that line because they had some copies to make. And she identified the word because as an automatic compliance trigger. When we see it or when we hear it, we just start to, nod up and down like little bobbleheads without fully processing what comes next. We just assume whatever's coming next is a good, legitimate reason. And so the word because is definitely an automatic compliance trigger. It's probably one of my favorites. There's another one that's more of a visual example that I can offer up, and that is the idea of showing a chart or a graph. And what researchers have found is a lot of times people won't really spend a lot of time poring over the chart and graph. They won't really be studying it. Its mere presence suggests scientific veracity, right? If the chart is there, if the graph is there, it must be true. And I don't really have to spend a lot of time looking at it or poring over it. It's just the presence of it just increases the credibility of the copy, the text that's next to it. And about I don't know, probably easily 10 years ago at this point, we had done some work for a major metropolitan newspaper. And we were trying to get people to subscribe, which, is not an easy thing to do. Newspaper subscription rates are declining, but we were trying to get people to subscribe. And we had a special offer, which would give them a discount. And so we put a chart in that showed them, this is what other people are paying. This is what you're paying. And it became their new control. And they have since, evolved their messaging. And I no longer work with them, but I'm still on their list. And the one thing that doesn't change is that chart. No matter what creative they're sending out there, no matter what marketing message they send out, the chart always seems to be there. And, I know why. It works. It's just one of those things where you see it and you're like, oh, okay, makes sense to me.